the Monday night HJCAC Coaches Show. It's a brand new show in honor of the Hohokam Junior College Athletic Conference. My name is Vince DeLisio, and I am joined by my broadcast partner for the evening from the Cronkite School of Mass Communications, Julia Coyne. Julia, we called a heck of a game on Saturday night to kick off the season for the Maricopa Mustangs, which hosted the Gila River Hawks. How did you feel basically telling stories throughout the game of some pretty amazing players?
I mean, it was really great to see. Junior college athletics is a big deal. In my opinion, it's kids that are still trying to play. And so the Mustangs won 34-0. It was a really good game. We had a lot of fun calling it. So, yeah.
It was quite an environment. It was a very electric environment. The community was well represented out at Cortez High School. Beautiful field, beautiful accommodations. And it was football. It was college football on Saturday night. The teams are represented by a lot of local talent as well as some from different parts of the country. And you're going to get to know a few of them tonight, in addition to the head coach of the Maricopa Mustangs, Coach Doug Medoski. I wanted to go into a little bit of a recap of Saturday's game. Now, that was not our first game. The first game actually was Papago Pumas the week before, which hosted Arizona Christian's developmental squad, and they came away with a win. After that, I thought, man, this isn't going to get much better, and better it did. The Maricopa Mustangs came out and put on a show, offensively, defensively, pitched a shutout, as you said, to the Gila River Hawks, coached by brand-new head coach Larry Kane. It was a great game all the way around. We're definitely going to come back with Coach Doug Medoski here in a minute, but before we do, Julia, final thoughts on how you felt coming out of that game.
It was their first game of the season. Really exciting to see. There was some penalties, but that'll get cleaned up throughout the season. Their defense did really good. Their offense showed off, especially in the first half. So it was a really good game all around.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for joining us here on the Varsity Sports Show, a special edition of the HJCAC Coaches Show. When we come back from the break, we are going to be joined by Maricopa Mustangs head coach Doug Medoski. Don't go anywhere. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, with an experience so good it remains indescribable, with something for every seafood lover. Try one of their amazing custom seafood boils, sandwiches, appetizers, and salads. Angry Crab Shack Tempe is located east of I-10 on Warner Road, 480-674-3847. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Come ready to eat.
Arizona Wildcats had 2 straight home wins to start off the season, while their second victory didn't come easy as they overcame a slow start to beat the NAU Lumberjacks 22-10. Actually, it was arguably one of the worst offensive performances from the Wildcats in recent years, with just 55 passing yards in the first 2 quarters. Also, they were 0 for 10 on third down and only gained 147 yards before the break. But it was a tale of 2 halves as Arizona opened the scoring and never looked back. UA rallied from the halftime deficit by outscoring the Lumberjacks 16-0 in the second half. Friday, the Wildcats will hit the road for the first time, taking on Big 12 Conference foe Kansas State in a non-conference game. Kansas State also escaped with a 34-27 road victory over Tulane in Week 2. Same as UA, they struggled throughout the first half but turned things around in the second, erasing the double-digit deficit and got a W. Apparently, the 2 top 25 teams surprisingly faced stiff challenges last week, but they'll look to pick up their first win against each other since 1978. Both teams have strong offensive firepower, so it's gonna be a tough matchup. If one of them can come up with a few key stops at the very beginning of the game, their offense should do enough to flip momentum and give them the advantage. For Arizona, they are also aiming to extend their winning streak to 10, including 7 from last year. With number 10 Michigan's loss to third-ranked Texas last week, now the Wildcats have the longest active winning streak in college football. And their 9 straight wins are already tied for the longest one in program history. With Arizona on a winning streak and Kansas State being one of the favorites in the Big 12, we can consider this matchup an early game of the year. Stella Tai with Varsity Sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to the HJCAC Coaches Show, presented by the Varsity Sports Show. I am joined by head coach of the Maricopa Mustangs, Coach Doug Madosky. Coach, you wear a couple of hats. You wear many hats, but two of them are very prominent in this league. Obviously, you're the director of the Hjcac Junior College Athletic Conference, but you're also, I don't know how you do it, but you also juggle that with responsibilities of coaching the Maricopa Mustangs. This is the 6th year of the league. Talk to us a little bit about year 6 now and how things have gotten off to a start as opposed to previous years.
I think that there's a lot of changes happening within the league. I think that was one of the things that we discussed going into the season was, the emphasis to in-person courses again, getting our student athletes back in the classroom with the teacher accessible to them on a regular basis. Have Coach Kelly Epley, who longtime Agua Fria head coach, longtime coach at Glendale Community College. He's there to oversee our academic stuff, and one of the reasons that I keep talking about the academics is because to me, and from the league standpoint, we know that what separates us from other people doing things similar to this, I guess, is the commitment to the academics. It's about moving these players on and giving them that next opportunity to really kind of fill that void that sits here in this Phoenix area for the student athletes of Arizona, and obviously we bring guys in from other states, but. The academic piece is one of the things that we're really excited about, getting back to the in-person classes, getting back to Maricopa. The resources that they have available to those student athletes is phenomenal. So, really wanted to focus on that. Coach Epley's doing a great job managing all of the academic aspect. These guys have to actually pass classes on a regular basis, weekly grade checks, things like that.
How have you it's amazing how the league has pivoted through the past few years. You started off with in-person classes when the league first began. Then we had this thing called a pandemic, so everybody then was online, virtual. Now you've managed to pivot back. How have the student athletes been motivated to get back in person? Because everybody has gotten so used to being at home and working in the online world.
I think the nice part is that our guys know that they want to move on, and they know that when you look at the statistics of success being in person versus online, at least for our group of kids, it's night and day. I mean, so it's one of those things that it's easy to talk about that, and it's easy to get them to want to get back into in-person classes, because when you're in in-person classes, you're going to be better prepared for the next level. You're going to be more successful. They're going to enjoy having that accessibility and the resources right there at their disposal on a regular basis. So because our kids are so driven for that next level, there's not a lot to really convince them of, I guess you could say.
Okay, so we got that part of it out of the way. Let's talk about Saturday night and that resounding victory that you had to open the season over the Hawks. Julia, you had some questions for Coach.
Yeah, so your offense obviously did really well, but the standout for me was your defense. What do you have to say about their performance on Saturday night?
It's funny. Everybody's talked about this performance, and from a coaching staff standpoint, I think even from the player standpoint, certainly there are things that took place that we were excited about, but there's so many little things that we know we could be so much better at. I think we're still yet to see that standout performance, so to speak. Certainly there's reason to be encouraged. When you look at it, obviously, the times that we did get down and they were able to put some drives together against us, that we responded in our own end zone on 2 different occasions, picking the ball off and getting 2 turnovers that way. We got after the quarterback a lot, held him to negative rushing yards on the game, but it was one of those things where what the best part of the victory from my standpoint was that we stayed together. We didn't fall apart. We didn't crumble when they make a big play. We always talk about it's never about the highs or the lows in the game, but the consistency is really what the game is about for us, and we were able to kind of just maintain that throughout the course of the game.
And so offensively, you had quite a few quarterbacks playing. Was there one that stood out to you that you think you'll be going into with next week?
So those guys all earned that opportunity. We've never been, I used to tell coaches all the time that when you have 2 quarterbacks, because you don't have one. The unique piece to us is we've got so many guys that actually are pretty good doing it, and we've had that competition going on through the summer, into the fall, and it just really there hasn't been that separation yet. I think that you'll still continue to see some of that. Obviously, as we continue to build out and get into the next couple of weeks out of the way and get back into a bye week, I think that we'll see one start to emerge, I guess you could say, at the top. But for right now, we're going to plan to play a couple of them and see how it will work out.
Coach, we're really excited about the players that we're bringing on tonight. What can you tell us, because two of them are yours, Cesar Rodriguez and Jordan Mowers. What can you tell us about Cesar?
You know, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job for us. First-year kicker came to us. We got him early, but then he was banged up a little bit. We got him back in the fold right before we scrimmaged Arizona Christian University's varsity team. We did that with Coach Bowen a couple of weeks ago now, and so we got him back right after that, and he's just been phenomenal. He goes to practice every day, works his tail off, and it was nice to see him have this success during the course of the game. You know, it was one of those things when we were up or when there were situations where we could have gone for it on fourth down, you know, our thought was, let's give him the chance to go out there and kick the field goal. He's worked hard for it. He's earned the right to do that. And, you know, and then obviously you go out there and you go 2 for 2 on field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points, and it works out the way that you want it to work out.
Defensive end Jordan Mowers.
He's a great football player. You know, he's fun to coach. He's a guy that I'm obviously partial to defensive linemen. You know, so he's a guy that you can do so much with. He's like, you know, just it's kind of a toy in the sandbox, so to speak, that you can do a lot of different things. He plays inside, he plays outside. You can stand him up like a linebacker. You can drive him down to like a defensive tackle position. You know, he's a guy that does a great job getting after the quarterback and keeping that gap integrity and pushing that pocket. Certainly his game was impressive to say the least. I mean, going out there and having 3 sacks, you know, I think he had 6 or 7 tackles and, you know, a couple tackles for loss. Excuse me.
Yeah. Well, let's meet the two of them. When we come back from the break, we are going to be joined by kicker out of Copper Canyon High School, Cesar Rodriguez, here on the HJCAC Coaches Show. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone, this is Saleh Awad with the Varsity Sports Show, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. With the high school football season officially underway and teams having played a couple games already, I will be looking at the current top 3 ranked 4A teams in the state and how their season has gone thus far. Currently ranked number 1 in the 4A according to Max Preps are the Eastmark Firebirds. Eastmark opened its season with a 12-3 victory against Canyon del Oro, followed by a 2-0 loss to the Combs Coyotes. After winning the 3A championship in 2023 and being brought up to the 4A, they will look to get back on track in the conference and solidify this ranking with new head coach Jason Lyons from Hamilton. Coming in at number 2 are the Hjcac Catholic Shamrocks. The Shamrocks could very easily be declared the top team in the 4A. They are 2-0 thus far and have outscored their opponents 80-13 through 2 games. This team dominated all of last season, going undefeated before losing to Canyon del Oro in the 4A championship game by just 1 score. Hjcac Catholic will look to continue this dominant level of play and potentially overcome last season, coming out on top of the conference. Ranked number 3 as of right now are the defending 4A champions, Canyon del Oro Dorados. While the Dorados did open their season with a loss, they responded with a dominant Week 2 victory against the Bradshaw Mountain Bears. Canyon del Oro remain the team to beat in the 4A and are attempting to go back-to-back as champions this season. Varsity Sports Show, this is Saleh Awad, reporting.
Hello everyone, I am Mason Byers, a student at Arizona State University, and today I'm reporting for the Varsity Sports Show. Today I wanted to talk about some of the key matchups that we have in Arizona high school football this week, more specifically the 5A conference. We have a couple of key matchups that I think y'all should look out for and what the outcomes mean for both teams. Today I'm going to be talking about how Poston View, the Broncos, are hosting the Campo Verde Coyotes in Week 3. Both teams started their season with a 1-1 record, and both teams are looking to improve to be over 500. The Broncos and the Coyotes both started their season 0-1, but in Week 2 they both got a win over their opponents. This is a huge game for both of these teams as it is early in the season and they do not want to fall behind in the 5A conference. If the Coyotes move to 2-1, that is a great start for their season as they are on a 2-game winning streak. Is the Higley Knights going into the Marana Tigers territory in order to face off against each other? This is going to be a huge game in the 5A conference. Marana Tigers stand at 2-0 and are trying to prove to people that they are a legit contender for the state championship this year. With a win over the back-to-back defending champions, Higley Knights, that would do so and people would start fearing them. As for the back-to-back defending 5A champions, the Higley Knights are trying to start a dynasty. With a win over another 2-0 team, the Higley Knights would again be a favorite to win the 5A championship this year. These are some great matchups to look out for this weekend. I am Mason Byers, and I'm reporting for the Varsity Sports Show.
And welcome back to the HJCAC Coaches Show. By the way, we're out here at an Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, just east of I-10 on Warner Road. So come on out. You get a chance to see our setup, meet General Manager Dave Kaiser, as well as the rest of the team, and have some amazing food. And we'll be hosting the show here every Monday night for the rest of the season up until week before Thanksgiving. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great environment, and they've been a great partner in the community. We'll hear from Dave Kaiser a little bit later on in the program. I wanted to introduce, though, the kicker for the Maricopa Mustangs. He's a local product and a freshman out of Copper Canyon High School. His name is Cesar Rodriguez. Cesar, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Go ahead, Julia.
So you had a really impressive performance with 10 overall points, 2 field goals, and 4 extra points. So 3 of those extra points were from 20 yards, 1 being from 25 yards, and then your 2 field goals were from 27 yards. Really impressive performance. How did you feel about it?
Honestly, I felt really good, especially off a recent injury I had in the preseason. So it just felt really good hitting those and being able to basically get my team on the board with those points.
Tell me a little bit about your injury and how you're feeling now.
It was a meniscus tear. I had a little problem with it in high school, and then it came back, and then I just started rehabbing as much as I can, trying to get ready for the first game, and now I feel great.
What is your focus going into next week?
Focus definitely just trying to get better in every aspect, getting longer field goals, longer kickoffs, stuff like that.
As you, Cesar, I want to ask you, so you're a freshman. You're playing with a bunch of sophomores. Now, Julia had mentioned the fact that a couple of those PATs were from like 20 and 25 yards. Did you give your linemen a hard time because of the penalties on those kicks that got pushed back? Did you guys kind of laugh about it? I mean, you came in, obviously you could have missed those, but you made them, but that put a little extra pressure on you.
To be honest, no. I love the pressure. I
Okay.
love getting a little challenge, I know I can do it, and I just set myself up for high expectations.
You also had at least one touchback. You had a couple touchbacks in the game, so leg strength is never an issue. But what is more of a challenge for you in trying to find the exact spot to put that ball, squib kicks? Like, what has been something that's been a challenge for you in the
challenge
game?
Definitely trying to get a touchback. Getting that touchback in the game yesterday was definitely a big accomplishment for me. I've been trying to get it down there forever, and I feel like I'm definitely growing my leg out.
How many years you been kicking?
About 4.
How'd you get into it?
Soccer. My mom.
Okay.
My mom. Shout out to my mom. She had put me in soccer for
All
most
right.
of my life. So,
Well, there you go. And now you're a football player.
Yes, sir.
So where is this going to take you? Obviously, you're playing junior college football now with the idea that you want to keep going, right?
Yeah, definitely. I want to definitely keep going. Hopefully get noticed by D1, D2, wherever. Wherever I go, I'm going to perform my best.
Playing for a guy like Doug Madosky, how has that been?
Honestly, great. He's a great coach. I love how he expands his attention to everywhere, even me. And it's appreciative.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cesar. You're one of our players of the week this week, so congratulations. Thanks for coming on, and we look forward to seeing more from you this season.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Guys, when we come back from the break, we are going to be joined by defensive end Jordan Mowers out of Snowflake High School. Really excited about this young man. Had a big game. As even the guy sitting next to me here, a great crop of players of the week this week. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the HJCAC Coaches Show.
What's going on? This is Cooper Holman from the Varsity Sports Show, here to give you a preview between the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks and the Utah Tech Trailblazers. Northern Arizona comes off a 22-10 loss to ranked Arizona, marking their first loss of the season. Despite a low-scoring first half, Northern Arizona found themselves heading to the locker room with a 10-6 lead, but remained scoreless for the rest of the game. Quarterback Ty Pennington performed well in the season opener against the Lincoln Oaklanders, going 8 for 10 passing for over 100 yards and scoring 2 touchdowns. But in the matchup against Arizona, we did not see a lot of the same as the Northern Arizona offense struggled as a whole, and quarterback Ty Pennington, he failed to score a touchdown. NAU's defense has been lights out to start the season, and defensive back Alex McLaughlin is a huge reason why. With 18 tackles and a sack to begin the season, look for McLaughlin to be flying around. in the secondary. On the other side, Utah Tech is seeking their second ever win against a Big Sky opponent. Their only win came against Northern Arizona last season in a 50-36 win on the road. This season, the Lumberjacks will head to St. George for their matchup and maybe a little revenge from last season's defeat. Utah Tech's last outing wasn't particularly close as they lost to the UNLV Rebels in a 72-14 affair. Utah Tech is looking to play a more competitive game against a team they beat before. Players to look out for on Utah Tech's side would be quarterback Deacon Hill, the redshirt junior who threw for a season-high 188 yards and 2 touchdowns in the matchup against UNLV. And on the defensive side, linebacker Spencer Rich, who led the defense with 12 tackles in last week's game. Northern Arizona will look to get back into the win column on Saturday night and secure the revenge win against Utah Tech. This has been Cooper Holman from the Varsity Sports Show, giving you a preview to the Northern Arizona matchup against Utah Tech. See you guys next time.
And welcome back to the HJCAC Coaches Show out here at Angry Crab Shack in Tempe off of I-10 and Warner Road. My name is Vince Delicio, joined by my broadcast partner and my color analyst from the other night, Julia Coyne. And we have a special guest with us, this week's Defensive Player of the Week. He is out of Snowflake High School. He's a sophomore for the Maricopa Mustangs, defensive end. His name is Jordan Mowers. Jordan, first of all, welcome to the program. I'm going to get this question out of the way.
Okay.
Big difference, culture shock between living in Phoenix and living in Snowflake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Small town.
Yeah, okay. All right. Julia, you want to run through some stats and maybe talk to Jordan here a little bit about his game?
So Jordan on Saturday had 3 sacks for a loss of 15 yards, 2 tackles for a loss, and 2 unassisted tackles. Really impressive performance. So those sacks, 3 sacks, that's really impressive. How were you feeling?
I felt like I did pretty good. I was intense in most of the plays, but I think I could definitely improve in some aspects.
You know, your defense did really good, but obviously there's still things you guys can work on. What's going to be your main focus this week?
I think main focus probably intensity. Work on some stances and stuff.
So you're a sophomore. It's your second year. What does that have you bring to the team?
I think it brings a lot. I feel like I have more experience, and maybe I can get looked at a little more. I played at Adams State, so I played a little bit there, played a couple games, and so I think I have some experience.
So what brought you here from Adams State?
I kind of wanted, because Snowflake's a really small town, and Phoenix has a very big area of recruiting, and so I kind of want to get notice out from Snowflake, so to get them more of a notice, because up there you don't get a lot of recruiting, and so.
But there's some good football teams and some good football in general. I mean, the White Mountain teams that beat each other up through the regular season, the one that usually emerges into the postseason, it's almost guaranteed a state championship. Because of the level of competition. But what I'm curious to know is, did you come in contact with Coach Madosky before you left Snowflake, or what was the decision? How were you exposed to this league in terms of coming back from Adams State?
So before I left Snowflake, I did get reached out by the Maricopa, this junior college league, and so I knew it was out there, but I wanted to try my experience out in a 4-year college, and now I'm coming back, and so because they noticed me from Snowflake.
So there are a lot of players that, in having covered the league the last 6 years, there are a lot of players that do that they'll go off, they'll go to an NAIA school or a D2 school or even some D1, and for whatever reason, whether it's geography, the location, not necessarily feeling like they fit in, whether the scheme or there was a last-minute coaching change, and they want to come back. And so your story is not an unusual story. There's a lot of guys that have done what you've done. What is the hope by being back here, and how soon do you see yourself getting back out there again?
My hope is to get recruited. I know he had a couple guys from last year. They had a bunch of D1 offers, and so we were just talking about it too. I'm down here to get recruited, and I'm hoping by the end of the year I can get picked up by a team.
How long have you been playing football?
Since freshman year of high school.
Okay. And how did you get involved?
I actually had a friend that loved football, and so I joined the team with him. He convinced me, and my parents said I had to do a sport.
Oh, you were like the wingman, huh?
Yeah.
And then now here you are with 7 sacks on a college football field. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. Well, much luck to you, Jordan. And Jordan Mowers out of Snowflake High School here with the Maricopa Mustangs, defensive end, 7 tackles unassisted, 3 sacks. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us tonight here at Angry Crab Shack, and we hope to have you back.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Guys, when we come back from the break, we are going to give you a final recap, and we'll also be joined by General Manager Dave Kaiser here to talk a little bit about the role that Angry Crab Shack plays in the community in terms of community service. Don't go anywhere here on the HJCAC Coaches Show. We'll be right back. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, with an experience so good it remains indescribable, with something for every seafood lover. Try one of their amazing custom seafood boils, sandwiches, appetizers, and salads. Angry Crab Shack Tempe is located east of I-10 on Warner Road, 480-674-3847. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Come ready to eat.
I'm Jesse Davis from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University, reporting for the Varsity Sports Show. We once again have a full slate of high school boys 6A division football games this week, with some big matchups, including the Brophy Prep Broncos, who sit at 2-0, led by head coach Jason Jewell. A standout for the Broncos this far has been junior wide receiver Devin Fitzgerald, who has 4 receiving touchdowns on the season and is averaging 67.5 receiving yards per game, as the Broncos are on the road to take on the Centennial Coyotes, who are looking to get their first win of the season. The Horizon Huskies stay at home again this week to face the Raymond S. Kelly Cougars, in a game where both teams are looking to get their 3rd straight win of the season. The Huskies, led by head coach Tyson Ditmore, have several game changers, including junior middle linebacker Gage Lee, who's averaging 7 tackles per game. The Mountain View Mesa Toros, led by head coach Andy Litton, are on the road this week, taking on the Liberty Lions. The Toros offense will look to get things going early on the arm of junior quarterback Brady Goodman, who in 2 games this season has completed 28 of 32 attempts for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. Both of these teams will be looking to improve their record to 3-0. The Saguaro Sabercats are on the road again this time, facing off against the Basha Bears. The Sabercats, led by head coach Darius Kelly, will look to get their first win of the season by leaning on senior running back Elias Johnson, who's averaging 4.2 yards per carry on the ground this season. From the Varsity Sports Show, I'm Jesse Davis.
I'm Julia Coyne, back with the Varsity Sports Show, here to talk about Salt River Scorpion player Anthony Lopez. Unfortunately, he was not able to be with us tonight, but the Salt River Scorpions played Arizona Christian University last week, lost 21-17 when Arizona Christian scored with about 3 seconds left in the game. But Anthony Lopez had a really impressive performance. He had 8 receptions for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, unfortunately, he can't be with us tonight, but his performance was really impressive, and we'll be looking to see what he can do within the next couple weeks. We'll be back with the Varsity Sports Show.
Arizona 3A football is well underway as we are now into week 4 of the season for most of these teams. Now that the rust has been shaken off, this is where we find out who the contenders and pretenders are in 3A. The first big-time matchup on spooky Friday the 13th is the Arcadia Titans versus the Benjamin Franklin Chargers. Both teams are coming into this game undefeated so far in the early parts of the season, but with much to prove in this game. Arcadia barely escaped with a win last week against Walden Grove, and they're looking to bounce back in a convincing way this week. Benjamin Franklin has routed all 3 of their opponents by an average of 36 points so far this season, and they don't want to get tripped up by the Titans. I like this matchup, and I think it could be a barn burner. The next matchup that caught my eye was the ALA West Foothills Guardians versus the Peoria Panthers. The Guardians are 3-0 on their young season and have only allowed 6 points so far. They are going up against a 4A squad in the Panthers this week, and it could be a tough test. Peoria is coming off a loss to Raymond S. Kellis, so they are looking to feast on the lower division opponent. With a win over the Panthers, the Guardians will undoubtedly be one of the top-ranked 3A teams in Arizona. I'm Jay Skrinke for Varsity Sports, and this has been your 3A football preview.
Welcome back to the HJCAC Coaches Show, brought to you by Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. We are just east of I-10 on Warner Road, real close to the Cardinals training facility. We're joined by a really good friend. I'd like to call him an old friend. Haven't known him maybe, Dave, how long has it been? About a year? Maybe?
About a year,
yeah. About a year.
It's been a good year.
It's been a great year. And he's the general manager here at Angry Crab Shack, Dave Kaiser. Dave, first of all, thanks for allowing us to kind of commandeer your restaurant here for the next, you knew this was going to be about an 11-week commitment, right?
The season. Yeah.
The season. And not only that, but your commitment to working with us and working with our young people. How long have you been involved in community service like this?
You know, I think probably for life, and I think that's what's cool about it. It's you always see famous people that come back and say, you know, they always going to want to give back. You know, I was always taught that, you know, if you have something, then offer something back. So I feel like it's been forever, and when you're in the restaurant industry, you got to be a natural at it. Yeah. So it's fun.
I feel sometimes and sitting next to Julia here, sometimes Julia with Dave, I feel kind of guilty because every time I ask him for something, he says yes. But in the same way, I don't want to give that secret away because I'm afraid other people will too, and then he'll start saying no to us. But he has just been an incredible person and providing resources and space and everything else and support to us and knowing what our mission is. But you've been doing this for a long time. Like you said, it's been a lifelong thing. You've supported teams in the community. You had somebody early on that maybe gave you that kind of a head start and helped you out along the way. Do you remember, was it one particular person or a few people?
Oh, we've talked about the gentleman, and I spent last week with him, and that's my dad. You know, my dad was a high school teacher, a football coach. More importantly, he was a dad, and he was always, throughout his career, he had students that came to him not as a football coach, but as a mentor and just a tremendous human being. And so I had some pretty big shoes to fill, and yeah.
Let's talk business. Let's talk about Angry Crab Shack here. And you've been at this location for quite some time now, and Angry Crab Shack is synonymous with it in Arizona in terms of quality service, quality seafood, but also has expanded nationally and with your friends in the industry and in owning the various restaurants. In terms of seafood, what exactly on the menu is Angry Crab Shack known for? Is there one particular thing?
We're known predominantly for the seafood boils. So it's, you know, everything from shrimp to snow crab, the king crab. We fly lobsters in from Maine. We fly Dungeness crab in from Washington. And it's all that, but then we put it together in this kind of backyard Louisiana style, you know, with the sauce and everything. People get their hands dirty. It's fun. Kind of the counter to a lot of restaurants you go into now. You get your hands dirty. Nobody's on their phone.
Right.
So everybody's talking to each other, having a good time, and eating some great food.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Julia, have you eaten here?
Not yet. I'm new to the area, but I will.
Okay.
It's right down the street from ASU.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Want to thank Dave Kaiser once again for welcoming us the next few weeks here to do the show and for being such a big part of what we do in supporting our Cronkite students, our University of Arizona journalism students, our national students, everybody that works with us owes a big thank you to Dave Kaiser and Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, and everybody that's in the vicinity. Come on out. This is an amazing place. Come out on Mondays, Tuesdays, any day of the week. Say hello to Dave, the rest of the staff. They're very friendly, and see some great games and enjoy some great boils. So here on Warner Road, just east of I-10, Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. We are done for this week for the HJCAC Coaches Show. My name is Vince DeLisio on behalf of my partner, Julia Coyne. Guys, come back every week. We'll see you next Monday night right here at Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Signing off. Have a good night. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, with an experience so good it remains indescribable, with something for every seafood lover. Try one of their amazing custom seafood boils, sandwiches, appetizers, and salads. Angry Crab Shack Tempe is located east of I-10 on Warner Road, 480-674-3847. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Come ready to eat.